Welcome to the Diva D-Town. Welcome to the Diva D-Town, where bold, confident women embrace life unapologetically. From love and sex to wellness and reinvention, we keep it raw, real, and powerful. No filters, no limits. Just fearless conversations to help you thrive. Let's dive in with Diva Mia.
Hi, this is Diva Mia, and today I wanted to talk to you a little bit about creating stability with your nervous system. Before I get started on that, I did want to let you know that we are going to be bringing on guest speakers from our audience as well. So if you have something that you have a question about, every once in a while, we're going to select somebody from our listening audience and talk to them too. So if you want to be on the podcast, feel free to write into me. It doesn't matter if you're male or female. If it's an idea that works, we may just pull you on. Getting back to the power of the nervous system, I think one thing we need to realize is that regulating our nervous system is very important. If your nervous system is in fight or flight mode and you're stressed and constantly on the go, that's going to add to sleep problems. It's going to add to higher levels of stress. If they don't regulate their nervous system, when things happen to them, they don't know how to handle it, because their parents were always there to regulate their nervous system for them. The parents were always there to spoil them. Don't worry about it. You can just stare and play on your phone, or you don't have to do chores. You don't have to help out. When they get out in the real world and they actually have to go to work, they need a safe space because someone said their shoes were ugly or disagreed with them in a meeting, and they can't control their nervous system. We're building a generation of people like this. You see it where there's people that are throwing fits when the littlest thing happens. They can't be challenged with a question. The thing about the Charlie Kirk thing that was so amazing is you would see Charlie Kirk ask people questions, and some of them would have mental breakdowns because they were challenged or questioned. They have emotional issues. They are so used to everyone telling them how to behave, telling them what to do. They can't think for themselves. When they do have to think for themselves, they have a nervous system that goes into overdrive. It's fight or flight just because they have to do things themselves. It's when you learn how to regulate your parasympathetic nervous system, and you can recharge yourself, and you don't allow things to impact you. Like, for instance, you get into traffic and someone cuts you off. If you're the type of person that screams and yells at them, you're not regulating your nervous system. I know there's a lot of road rage people out there, but you need to really work on that, because that's self-control. People that are able to regulate their nervous system, you're going to find they are more successful than other people. They tend to grow faster. They tend to be able to handle situations that are challenging easier because they don't let little things get to them. When you can control your self-regulation of your nervous system, you're in more control of yourself. You're less dramatic. You don't let little things impact you. Some people get so upset because somebody complained about their bag or their clothes. Some people get so upset because someone made a bad statement online, or maybe made a comment online that hurt their feelings. I'm going to have to say this nicely. Get over it. You got to get over it. You're a snowflake. You're going to need to learn to self-regulate, because you may have grown up in a way that didn't allow you to self-regulate. So now is the time to learn. If you don't self-regulate, if you don't get back into a rest, restore type of parasympathetic nervous system, and you let your sympathetic fight or flight take over, what's going to happen is you're going to develop chronic stress. Now, chronic stress can happen because you're in a terrible situation, but chronic stress will lead to inflammation. It's going to lead to disease. It's going to lead to autoimmunes and hormonal imbalances. You're going to gain weight. Your physical health is going to go to crap, to put it nicely. Once your physical health goes, typically what happens next is your mental health goes at the same time or right along with it. You'll have anxiety. You're going to have depression where other people would let things go, but you're going to dwell on it. When you dwell on it and you don't look at things logically and reasonably, you can go into serious depression. You'll find that maybe you're more of an inclined to be an alcoholic. You're more addicted to substances. You're more addicted to porn because you can't regulate your nervous system. You're more likely to be impulsive. Like if something happens, you got to buy it, or if something happens, you've got to go for it. You also react to everything emotionally. You could throw a fit because you saw somebody looking at birds in the park. And now you're a national joke because your name is Karen. So those are types of people that don't have good mental health. If you don't know how to regulate your nervous system and you've been spoiled your whole life, that leads to mental disorders such as schizophrenia. It leads to mental breakdown because your mind can only process so much. When we're spoiling our children, when we're doing everything for our children, not having them do chores, not having them learn as they are younger, we're really doing a disservice to our children and helping cause mental illness. I'm a firm believer that this leads to mental illness. We are teaching men to be weak. We are trying to change our natural genders and our natural roles in life into something that's causing mental health issues. And then on top of it, we are chopping up children and telling them they should be something different because they have been told to follow the adults. And the adults are saying, oh, you're 8 years old, you're a tomboy, you should change your sex to be a boy. That is messing the children up hormonally. And it totally screws up their nervous system. And when they get older, they have mental issues, let alone the hormones that got jacked into them that weren't normal. Remember, we are causing the mental health breakdown in our society. Remember, you are in control of your nervous system. And you have to go out there and you have to face challenges in order to regulate it. I'm not saying go out there and jump out of a plane because you're afraid of heights. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying do baby steps and get out there and grow. We only grow by doing things that we haven't done before. If you do the exact same thing every day, you're not growing. You're just being consistent. You need to grow and do things that are challenging to challenge your nervous system, not to shock it. But when you get into a relationship with somebody that self-regulates their nervous system, you're going to notice they're calmer. There's emotional safety there. There's no drama. They don't fight with you over silly, insignificant things. It's just comfortable. It's kind of a little boring, comfortable. It's okay though, because you have enough going on in your life, probably with work and everything else, that you don't need the crazy. There's so much crazy out there right now. I've seen it in the media and I've seen it on TV and I've seen it just with people driving around yelling at people driving. Self-regulation is so very important, but you only get there if you focus on it. Without self-regulation, disease is right around the corner. As children, we learn how to self-regulate from our parents when they make us sleep in our own bed. We learn how to self-regulate as children when we fall down and there's nobody around. Do we cry or do we just get back up and go and then maybe find a parent and get a Band-Aid put on? Or do we sit there and cry and help and wait till somebody comes and takes care of us? There are a lot of kids now that just stay there crying until someone comes and picks them up. We need to learn to self-regulate. The more overprotective we are as parents and the more indulgent we are as parents, unintentionally, we take away from our children's their ability to cope. They need those coping experiences to grow. They need those coping to be afraid of the dark a little bit. It's okay. I'm not saying shut them out. I'm not saying be abusive, but let them grow through that. It's just a challenge. When children are shielded from all stress and discomfort, they don't learn how to tolerate their frustration. If they can't be discomfort, they're going to be the ones that sit there and complain and are always a victim about everything. We got a nation full of victims that complain nonstop. You see it on the media. They don't think logically or reasonably. They are constant complainers. And then they crumble when anybody questions them. I saw it with a person running for governor. They crumbled when they got questioned with more than one question in an area. I'm not going to be able to answer that. I'm going to walk away and end this interview. You can't crumble under pressure like that. You're an adult. You shouldn't need a safe space at 18 years old when you're in college. You're an adult. There used to be children that were running farms at 14 years old and very successful and mentally, emotionally mature. Now we wonder why the dating apps suck. We have a nation full of pansies, little wimpy boys. We have a nation full of people that don't know what their gender is. It's not true. It's not true. But gender dysphoria never existed when I was growing up. People didn't have these issues because now adults are trying to shape them into things they're not supposed to be. We have children that are 16 or 17 years old that don't want to get their driver's license because it's too challenging. They're too afraid. We've created a generation of children that are too afraid to go play outside. I know it's not as safe as it used to be, but you can put rules, boundaries, and limitations and still allow your child to explore. Allow them to go outside and not get harmed. If they do fall down, let them. They'll pick themselves back up like we did. They can drink from the hose like we did. There's nothing wrong with some of this. Let them explore. Let them be kids. Because the more you spoil a kid, the more immature they are. It takes them a lot longer to get that emotional maturity that they need. They can't delay gratification when you spoil them. They'll be the ones that are addicted to drugs. They'll be the ones addicted to porn. Because why? Because you spoiled the heck out of them. They'll be more likely to have a mental disorder. You see it over and over again. You see it people going online to get validation when they don't need validation. They should have as much validation in themselves as they need. The whole social media thing has also corrupted the children. Why do you need validation from people you don't know, who don't know you? Who the heck cares? We need to learn to teach children how to be emotionally resilient and tough. We need to toughen up the men and the women. We need to let them think for themselves, but they need to toughen up. Because right now they're being swayed by everyone else. They're being indoctrinated at school. They're being indoctrinated by the media. They're being indoctrinated by social media because they're not resilient. And we as parents have to create resiliency in our children. We have to make them emotionally mature sooner, not later now. And I think a lot of us put this off. I've been guilty of it. We wait because we don't want to push them too hard and we want them to have such a great childhood. However, what we're finding now is that if we wait, it's too late because they're changing kids' sex at 8 years old. If a child is not emotionally resilient and tough enough to understand that they are loved who they are, they have self-worth as who they are, they might follow along with what their teacher tells them or the media. And they never were meant to change their gender. Then it creates a mental dysphoria later on in life and they have a mental disorder. Or they stay who they are and they're so snowflakey that anything that happens, they cry about. My son said there's a girl at school that she gets in trouble and breaks down crying over and over again. Well, you're going to get in trouble. You're going to get in trouble in life. Things are going to happen. Bad things are going to happen to you. And if you break down crying because you stubbed your toe, or you break down crying just because someone didn't like that you slammed a door, or someone says you can't do that and you cry, you're going to have a really tough time in the real world. I am really disappointed in the way this generation is going. Only people we have to blame is ourselves because we've trained them. We came from a rough generation where we were left out. This is Generation X, left outside to fend for ourselves. We said to ourselves, we're going to love our children more than we felt loved. But the reality is now we've overloved them. We've taken it to the point of not allowing them to live, not allowing them to deal with challenges, not allowing them to have any stress. We take it upon ourselves. We've made them so soft they can't function. Universities are shocking. It's like we have a nanny state where everyone needs to be handheld and the right and wrong is so blurred now. Everything's a gray area. You killed someone. Oh, you must have had a rough childhood. Let me take your hand and we'll let you back on the street because we know you won't do it again. I mean, it's ridiculous. We need to stop. Morals, values, and ethics need to come back in. Chores should be a mandatory for every child out there. I don't care how wealthy you are. There's a reason why you see a lot of wealthy people that make their kids do chores, and the ones that don't, their kids end up on drugs. Their kids end up doing really bad things. One of the millionaire tech people said he was only going to give his children $1 million. Now, $1 million is a lot of money to give, but the guy's worth billions of dollars because he doesn't want his kids completely spoiled. He wants them to learn how to work for it, but you can't when you don't self-regulate. The other thing is the people that don't self-regulate are always victims. The world's against you. Oh, you poor me, poor me, poor me. When anything happens to you, you fall down and can't get back up. I love myself because I know no matter what somebody throws at me, I always get back up. I might stumble. I might trip. I might skin a knee here and there, but I always get back up. And being tough and resilient is worth its weight in gold. I would not change it for anything. People can't hold me down, and I want that for you. I want that for your children. But the only way we're going to get there is if we let them self-regulate and teach them how to self-regulate. If you take a kid's iPad away and they start crying and give it back to them, that's not self-regulation, that's manipulation. We are teaching a generation how to manipulate other people, not how to self-regulate. And that's the truth. And then what happens is other people, they get aggression towards other. When they don't get their way, they blame, they're entitled, they have outbursts, they have temper tantrums. We have adults that are having temper tantrums in college. We have adults that are having temper tantrums when they don't get their way. We are creating a society of children and mental illness Because people that don't self-regulate, they have anxiety. They're prone to rage and depression cycles. So poor me, a guy I went out with for a month broke up with me. I'm going to go into depression for 6 months. Poor me, I can't find a boyfriend. Let me get depressed and have anxiety and then rage at all men. Someone said something nasty about me. I'm going to go online and dox them or say terrible things about them on social media. No, this is not normal behavior. Normal behavior is important, but you don't get to normal behavior if you can't regulate your nervous system, if you can't stay calm, if you can't control your feelings and your emotions. You need to learn how to be less reactive and control your reactions. When you are reactive, even when you're yelling at somebody driving that's being stupid, you're giving all your power away. But why are you reacting in such a way that you give all your power away? Because confidence, true confidence, people, is being calm under pressure. True confidence is owning yourself. True confidence, you know who you are. And you are not this. You don't need to overreact. And when you self-regulate, you are going to be a better partner in any relationship. People that can self-regulate, they don't let people push their buttons. The people that keep intentionally try to manipulate them and push their buttons, they just say goodbye and move on because they're looking for more of a secure relationship, not one that's crazy, not one that's anxious. So it's time to stop blaming others and it's time to stop playing the victim. You own your reactions. You own everything that happens to you. You need to start taking accountability for everything that happens to you because when you play the victim, it may feel good short term, but it's going to destroy your long-term growth. Victimhood keeps you stuck in exactly where you're at. If ever anyone tells you you can't do something, it removes because, you're Black or because you're a woman or because you're Hispanic or whatever it is. It removes your accountability and control. And accountability and control is so very important to self-regulation as well. If you're blaming everyone else as it's their fault, you're never going to do anything. If you come out of a relationship and you say, oh my gosh, that girl cheated on me and she was so mean to me, I'm going to go into depression. You just gave her power. She cheated on you, and then she took your life after that relationship. If it's everyone else's fault, you're never going to change anything. Why don't you say, she cheated on me. I see that I picked the same person that I picked before. Maybe I need to make different choices, or maybe I just need to be alone for a while. That's a choice. That's different. Maybe I need to work on me, and maybe I need to heal so I attract a different type of person. That's self-regulation, and that's taking accountability. The world is always going to be unfair. We're never going to change that. Everybody's like, oh, we need our fair share, or somebody needs to pay their fair share, or they need to do this. It's not fair. People throw temper tantrums regarding it. The world's always going to be unfair. What are you going to do about it? You sit there and whine and complain? Or are you going to take control of your situation, take accountability, monitor your nervous system, and do everything you can to get ahead? That's what a merit-based belief system is. My book on merit is coming out next month. Look out for that. But it is a belief system that you can self-regulate, that you are in control. Our social conditioning right now, it's our modern culture that people get outraged instead of mastering themselves. They get outraged over everything. Everything sets them off. And nothing should, because there's a lot of things that are important in this life, and most of the stuff that happens isn't. Focus on the stuff that's important, like your family, your loved ones. Because what happens is when you get sick, or if you have an illness, that's exactly what you focus on. So make each day as valuable as possible. Get as much done at work, but don't sweat the small stuff. Stop throwing temper tantrums on the little stuff. You're not a victim. It's just life. When you complain and be a victim, you're fueling mediocrity. You're making yourself small and giving your power away to whoever victimized you. Never give your power away. You own you. You are accountable, and you're tough as hell. So stop being a victim. Resilient people, they see adversity or things that challenge us as feedback. When something happens that's bad, you know what I say? That's good. What did I learn from it? What did I get from that? It's not fate, but it's a lesson. So remember that if you want to become more resilient, you got to see adversity as just giving you information, good information. You get into a car wreck, good. What did I learn from that? You trip because you're wearing shoes that are too big. What'd you learn from that? You go on a date and the guy's a complete jerk. So you have to Uber home yourself. What'd you learn from that? Maybe you should pre-screen the people ahead of time. Not, oh my gosh, men are so terrible. I'm a victim. Men are terrible. Let me go online and complain about it. Oh, men suck. oh, this is terrible. Poor me. I can't find anyone. No. What'd you learn from it? Well, you learned that maybe you need to screen the people a little bit more. Maybe you need to have a video conference in advance. Stop playing the victim. Stop. It is time for us to stand up as a human race and take accountability for who we are, for how we raise our children, and for how we regulate our emotions. It is time for us to stop throwing temper tantrums and allowing other people to throw temper tantrums around us. And you are responsible for yourself and you're responsible for your children. But people need to stand up. Successful people don't see things that fail or fall apart or don't go their way as a personal attack or anything other than a lesson. We see it as information. We see it as feedback. That's what the universe is giving you. That's what the world is giving you. You failed at your job. You got fired. That's feedback. You lost your job because you showed up late every day for work. That's feedback. It's a lesson. It's information. Don't show up late for work. You lost money in the stock market because you were overinvested in one area and you didn't look for the signs. Learn from it. It's a lesson. Don't dwell on it. It's time for us to advance as a civilization. We have to take accountability because accountability is empowerment. If I cause something, I have to fix it. Even if I don't cause it, I might fix it anyway, just because I'm going to learn from it. The mental strength and the mental clarity that you're going to gain from these lessons is going to propel you to another level. It'll calm your nervous system. You're going to take accountability for the things you do. You're going to be resilient to everything. It's going to be really hard to break you. So the more stuff you go through and the more challenges you go through, the better and the stronger you get. We forget that. When you lift weights, if you lift the same weight every day and you don't challenge yourself, you're not going to gain any muscle. In fact, you'll probably lose. The same thing happens in life. If we don't challenge ourselves mentally, we lose. If we don't do things or do more than what we did the day before, we lose it. We lose our mental capacity and we're not as strong. Mental strength needs to be a focus of the next generation. It truly does. Because if not, I think we might be doomed. We're losing the smart people. The smart generation is dying off. And it's going to be led by a generation of weak-minded people that were raised by people with good intentions to give people a loving, nurturing, cherished place, but spoil their children way too much. It's time to take accountability for what we've done. It's time to build confidence in ourselves, confidence in our children, and respect other people. Don't let anyone tell you that you can't achieve because of your race, your gender, or your background. I don't care where you came from. We are in a great country. You can do anything you want. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what race you are. Okay, well, I'm probably not going to be at 5'3", the center on a basketball team, but maybe I own the basketball team. I'm probably not going to be a swimmer in the Olympics. Maybe I could have. It's probably not going to happen at my age, but you can do almost anything you want. If you can't do exactly what you want, maybe pivot and find something pretty darn close to it, something you enjoy. Your race, your gender, and your background is not what's holding you back. It's your mindset. It's your mindset of not taking accountability for who you are, what you've done, and where you're at. If you grew up poor, great. So did a lot of people. I grew up poor. I didn't let it hold me back. I grew up a woman. I competed with men in technology. I didn't let that hold me back. If one person out there on this planet has succeeded at what you want to do, go model them. Go look at what they did and do that. Because if one person on this planet can do it besides you, you can do it too. Even if no one's done it, that doesn't mean you can't do it. Just means they haven't done it yet. Look at Bannister that did the 4-minute mile. They told him his heart was going to explode if he ran a 4-minute mile. So he trained for it and he did it. Then he did it again and his heart didn't blow up. But they told him his heart was going to blow up. And lots of other people have done it. And there's people in high school running 4-minute miles now, less than 4 minutes. We limit ourselves because we're told we can't do that. But you can't create mental strength if you can't regulate your nervous system. You can't create mental strength if you don't take accountability and have resilience. That's the foundation for growth in life. Then you can go out there and achieve anything you want in the world. But you got to have your foundation. You've got to regulate your nervous system. You've got to have mental strength. You've got to have clarity and got to take accountability. I want you to use criticism as motivation. I was told when I was growing up by my teacher that was teaching driver's ed. Now, granted, I still drive a little fast, but he was telling me when I was growing up that I wasn't going to amount to anything, that he knew my type and I was going to be nothing because I grew up extremely poor. And I'll just say I showed him. But I didn't really, because I don't ever think about him except for once in a while when I'm talking about people that have come from nothing and gone further, because I had other teachers. One teacher yelled at me because I was crying because I had wiped out on my bike and I was bleeding. She told me to dry up now when I was only in first grade. But the reality was it toughened me up. It created some resilience. Now, I'm not saying be nasty to your children, but maybe don't baby them so much. Give them chores. Give them things to learn. I have my kids learning plumbing. I have my kids learning electricity. I have my kids helping on websites. I have my kids doing accounting. And they're not even 16 years old yet. Why can't a 16-year-old help you with your books, help you do mailings, help you do data processing, help you with your technology, help you on the computer? Teach them how to function in the real world, or you're going to lose them to the schools that are teaching them not to function in the real world. That's the truth. Our children we're losing them to schools that are teaching them ideology that's more like brainwashing than truth. Teach them reality, get them out in the real world, and show them how to plant in the garden, how to grow things. I think we've missed out on a lot of that stuff, but it's coming back. Use criticism as motivation. Don't criticize to put someone down and make them feel insecure and have no self-worth. But when you criticize, motivate them. So, for instance, let's say that your child does not put their clothes on correctly. Like they always put them on backwards or inside out. Now, I know if you have children that are under, say, 6 or 7 years old, it may be an issue still. But maybe every time they put their clothes on correctly, you give them a good job. You did it correctly today. And then what will happen is when they don't, you'll be like, oh, I'm so disappointed. But don't change their clothes for them. Make them do it. That's just a small instance. But criticism is not proof of defeat. So for instance, let's say someone does something that they lost and they lost a baseball game. And some parents will take it as criticism and they will go after them and say, oh, you're a loser. That's not motivation. That's self-defeating and causes insecurity in children. We don't need to do that. But we do need to ask, well, what'd you learn from it? How can you toughen up next time? How will you be stronger? Those are better motivation questions. The questions we ask our children are the questions they will be asking themselves later. So if you have a child that calls themselves a loser, that calls themselves dumb or stupid, they heard it somewhere. But if you have a child that says, you lost, but I got a lesson from it, what did I learn? And they're constantly asking themselves, how did I learn from this? How can I make it better next time? What can I do better next time? That's going to create a resilient child. That's going to create someone that regulates their nervous system. And that's going to create somebody that takes accountability for all of their actions. If you build your identity around self-trust, not victimhood, and strength and calmness, and you teach that in your children, you're going to have power. Self-regulation equals power. Victimhood equals weakness. Accountability equals freedom and growth. And we need that in this world now more than ever. I hope you can start regulating your emotions daily. I hope that if you're having issues with that, if you have anxiety, maybe breathe, slow down, meditate. It gets easier over time. Get out there and go for a walk. If you had a really bad day, get out in nature because nature is soothing and calming in and of itself. If you just went through a divorce, walk every day. If you are having a really rough time at work and somebody is driving you crazy, walk. And when you walk, I swear nature helps heal and helps you figure it out. Then you can journal and write things down if you're still having issues, and then find a trusted friend that you can talk to. But be calm in the chaos. I've taught my children from a very young age, when there's chaos, what do? And they will say in unison, we stay calm. Every child should know that. When something terrible or bad happens, what do? You stay calm. Because the person that's calm is the person that can handle it. If you're not calm and you're throwing a temper tantrum, you won't be able to self-regulate. So in a crisis, stay calm. I wish that for everyone here. Master your emotions, master your accountability, master your nervous system, and you will master your life. This is Diva Mia. I hope you had a great day. I hope you'll have a great week, and I hope you have a great life. Take care and ciao, ciao.
Thanks for tuning in. Like, subscribe, and drop a comment. We'd love hearing from you. Visit thedivadetails.com to connect. See you next week for more.
Diva Details podcast and website are intended solely for informational and entertainment purposes. The content provided does not constitute professional, medical, financial, or legal advice. We are not licensed medical practitioners, financial advisors, or legal professionals. Always consult with a qualified healthcare provider for medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Any financial topics discussed are based on personal opinions and experience and should not be considered professional advice. The content provided does not constitute legal advice. The Diva Details and its affiliate contributors and guests are not liable for any losses or damages arising from the use of our content. The opinions expressed in the podcast are solely those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views of any affiliated organization, sponsors, or partner. All facts discussed in the podcast are researched and accurate to the best of our knowledge at the time of recording. Information may change over time. No guarantees are made regarding the accuracy, completeness, or reliability of any statements or opinions presented. It is the responsibility of the listener to verify any and all facts that may influence their decision. This podcast is for information and entertainment purposes only and should not be considered professional advice.